How many of you remember when you first thought, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life? Anybody? I do. I was a junior in high school sitting in Miss Wallace's math class. We were solving problems. And I said, I think I'm going to become a high school math and science teacher. To do that, I graduated from high school early in January instead of May, started college right off the bat. My eagerness was not sufficient for me to do well. I did poorly. I did not have good study habits. I was undisciplined. I was eager, enthusiastic, but not studious. The summer went no better, so I joined the Air Force. They trained me to be an electronics technician. When I came out 4 years later, I went to engineering school, got an engineering degree, worked for General Motors, was very good at my job. They promoted me to engineering manager, which I did not want. They wouldn't change, so I quit. This speech could be a lollygag. Love that word. Somewhere along the line, I encountered Shakespeare's play, As You Like It. In that play, I think it's Act 2, Scene 7, Jacques says, all the world's a stage, and every man and woman merely players. They go through 7 ages: childhood, schoolboy, lover, soldier, justice, retiree, second childhood. Being an engineer with an analytic mindset, I said, wait a minute. Stages of living? I did some work and found out, well, the stages of living we have are basically childhood, adolescence, adulthood, retirees, the 4 major, I'd say, divisions in our lives. Later, as a fan of Eric Hoffer, reading his biography, I found that Eric felt the same way about stages, except he was explicit. He said every stage lasts 13 years. I said, come on, that can't be like that. I mean, we're human beings. We don't follow that kind of pattern. But to allay my skepticism, I said, okay, let me look at the stages that I've been through. A stage of living is that point where you make a transition from one focus to another, where all of a sudden the goal you see on the horizon is new and different. In checking my 13-year periods of changing stages, I went through them, and sure enough, the first 3 were 13, 13, 13. The 4th one only lasted 10, but the 5th one lasted 14, and the 6th one lasted 15, and the 7th has lasted 9. I am now in the 8th stage of living. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that my life has been one where my nature is to have a focus on some significant goal, something I want to achieve. I have gone through it in various stages every 13 to 10 to 15 years. I hit stage 7 when I was 78. And stage 7 for me was advocacy. I'd become an advocate for living successfully as a human, with the goal in life, the only goal I see as important to be fully human is to be helpful, to help ourselves, to help others, and to help the planet. It doesn't matter what we do as a vocation or socially. If we're being helpful, we are successful. Recently, I decided that I would focus on emphasizing that particular view. In doing so, I've got a couple of high school buddies here in Maryville, Missouri, who started calling me the philosopher. I said, no, wait a minute, I'm not a philosopher. I mean, Socrates, but then I looked up in the dictionary, what is philosophy? Philosophy is just being focused on what life is about and what the universe is about. Well, that's me. I'm focused on what life is about and what the universe is about, but I'm not in a position to tell anybody what it is for everybody, only to encourage people to say, think about who you are, what you want to achieve, how you can be helpful to yourself, to others, and the planet. And don't let anybody talk you out of it. I've gone through 7 stages. I'm into the 8th. Not everybody does that. Taylor Swift knew what she wanted to do at 14, and her family moved her to Nashville so she could pursue her singing career, which she stayed with. Granted, she's had different directions through it out, but she has a focus of being a singer. So my point is this. As a philosopher, not a Socrates or a Plato, I see myself as a pedestrian, walking around looking through shop windows and seeing what life might be like in different situations, then promoting ideas to consider, not directions to follow, on what it takes to be successful and live as who we really are.